It's Denise Taylor, and I'm excited to be here with Maria. She has agreed to share with us a little bit more about her vision for mompreneur. And I have been so intrigued for years now. I met Maria many years ago. Gosh, it had to be at least 15 or so
Yes, like
years
15.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at
Mm-hmm.
least that long. And I think you were a single mom at the time, and you were in school, and you
Mm-hmm.
were working hard, and so much has manifested since then. So welcome to Love Talk.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, and then tell me about your husband and your family.
Okay, well, just a little bit about me. I am a wife. We have been married going on 10 years in September. We have 4 kids. Two are from a previous marriage, but we have 4 kids that live with us, two teenagers and two younger ones. So it's about a 10-year age gap between the two pairs of kids. And I am a business owner. I have a bachelor's degree in community education, and next week I'll have a certificate in entrepreneurship from Cornell University.
Oh,
So
congratulations. That's
thank
awesome.
you.
For as long as I've known Maria, she has always been full of ideas, full of courage to go after those ideas. Even if for some people they're fleeting, you're like all over it. And I think that
Mm.
is what makes a great portfolio. We'll talk about all of your entrepreneur interests. Tell us a little bit about your husband.
My husband is, first, I just want to say he's amazing, awesome, very supportive. He actually is in construction right now, and he's going to be starting school to become a real estate agent. So he is more of, he kind of lets me do the entrepreneurship part, and he helps a lot in it, and he also does the construction on the side. So wherever he can help me, he fills in those gaps, and then also he does construction. And also he used to do modeling and hip hop dancing, and now that we're in Georgia, he's actually looking into getting back into modeling and acting.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. So you guys are what I would say, because I'm just old now. You, you guys are what I would say is an up and coming couple. And even though your family is so full, you still have so much youth in life left in you. I know you feel like you're getting older, but you're not. Take it from me, I'm on the other side of it. And so what intrigues me is just how much you guys work together and how complementary you are of one another. And that's very impressive. Tell us a little bit about your love story.
Our love story. So we met in high school, and we were friends for 10 years before we even dated. Like we would go on like friend outings. He was there when I went through my divorce from my first husband. Was very supportive during that time frame, but still as a friend. And in that time frame, he became like a best friend, and our relationship just grew in that 10 years with friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So we consider each other like best friends. And when I was actually about to move out of state, and he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I'm like, I'm moving to a different state. So
Mm-hmm.
for about a year, we dated in a long distance relationship, but we considered it courting
Mm-hmm.
because the goal of the relationship, because even as friends, he knew my overall, I wanted to be a wife.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't just going to be playing around and just, going on dates for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
So we were courting to see if marriage was an objective, or like if we would be good together.
Mm-hmm.
And before we even hit, I believe, 1 year of dating or courting, he proposed.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah.
So
So
it wasn't
and
like so some people may say 1 year, wow, that seems fast, but for you guys, you knew each other for a long
yeah.
time.
Hmm.
It's not like you met at a club 1 year and then
Yeah.
less than a year later,
Hmm.
marriage was on the horizon. You guys knew each
Yeah.
other. You kind of grew up
Yeah.
together
We
because you
can
went to
like
high
best
school,
friends.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome. Awesome story. All right. So now, one of the things, like I said, about you over the years, just from my observation, even when you were close in a circle and me just on the far, right? Looking, you are the quintessential entrepreneur. Um, I, you're a serial entrepreneur, and now I have just come to expect that there's going to be an idea that comes from Maria. She's going to post about it's going to be something, it's going to still be within a reasonable range of your interest,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to be something new, and you just have this perspective of going for it that I think is so unique and different, that a lot of people kind of take their ideas and discount them and say, oh, I don't know. But you're like, I got this idea and I'm running for it. So tell us a little bit about this concept of mompreneur that you kind of started. At least I don't know if you started it. I saw it with you first, so I'll put it that way. And tell me a little bit about what is encapsulated in that when you say, I am starting this tribe or this mantra of mompreneur.
So it is interesting. That's like a loaded question. It's like so many answers in that question. I just want to back up a little bit with I watched my grandmother, and I watched her not really knowing what an entrepreneur was or even paying attention to what a small business owner was. But my grandmother, when I lived with her a couple of years while I was in high school, she owned at-home daycare, and I watched her work from home and run a daycare, and I would work there. So I feel like a little bit it was starting to be like engraved in me, to where I watched my grandmother be this strong woman and be a provider and go for what she wanted. So I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years now. It has not always been the same thing. I would say early on, it was really trying to figure out, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to work for myself. But what is it that I'm meant to do? So I tried a lot of different things, like a lot of MLM organizations where it's like, Avon, Mary Kay, Beachbody. Like I tried so many different things, really trying to find my lane or find my niche or find what it is that I really wanted to do. And over the years, I found I really love to help people. So it makes sense for me when I have these ideas or when I open these different businesses. At the core of almost everything that I do, the goal of it is to help someone. So when I became a real estate agent, it was to help people find a home, fix their credit, things like that. So early on as a entrepreneur, and I did kind of start posting that everywhere about 15-ish years ago, 15 years ago, I consider myself a mom first and an entrepreneur. And I was working from home. It was just me. And I was just grinding to the best of my ability to bring in whatever I could and still be of service to other people. I definitely would say over the years, I feel a little bit, it kind of changed to where I still see myself as a mompreneur because I'm a mom. But my businesses grew and I started to hire people, one of my companies actually has a location and I have contractors. And one of my contractors, whenever I would talk to her and kind of like, help her with things, she began to call me boss lady. And I kind of picked that up and created a whole nother business, calling that Boss Lady University, which essentially is still me being a momtrepreneur, but, hiring people and having locations and kind of getting outside the home, to where I feel a little bit of momtrepreneur. And this is like just my personal viewings, is a mom. It was me when I was doing my companies in the house.
Gotcha.
So I kind of I feel like all those labels are kind of based on your perception
in your
of it.
evolution too, right?
Yeah.
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 Okay, so now
So
just kind of run it down for us, right? Because I've put it out there that you are a serial entrepreneur, and you've dropped little hints at different things, but tell us a little bit about your portfolio. Tell us about what you do.
Okay, so essentially it's two companies. So I have a community organization, and in this community organization, I have a prenatal program where me and other people who are my contractors work with women in the community, connecting them to resources, like if they're struggling with their rent, need help with lights. One thing I love to do with the ladies, help them with budgeting accounting, credit repair. They don't have a checking account. So it pretty much is a lot of teaching of life skills. And so that's one program of Infinity. I'm also a real estate agent. So with that, I'm also helping, I mostly work with women too, just put that out there. I work a lot with women and helping them buy homes. And a lot of people that I work with might not have the credit to where it need to be or the money saved or even know where to start. I like to work with people like that to where I guide them along and then they become a homeowner. So I became a real estate agent, have my license here in Georgia. And by the end of this month, I'll have my license in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So I also have a fitness business as well. I feel, being healthy is essential when it comes to being, whether you consider yourself an entrepreneur or a boss lady, health should be at the top. Family, finances, and health. Because if I'm exhausted all the time or, your image is out there, you want to be comfortable. So I also find that when I help people, I help myself. So with fitness, me helping someone else, I'm also helping myself too. So I have a business doing fitness, and then I had to write it all down. And then I have Boss Lady University under Infinity, and that's where I teach women how to be entrepreneurs by starting online businesses, whether it's creating passive income with like books or workbooks or courses, academies, things like that. And also we're getting into real estate investing. So having property in Wisconsin to, help women out. That's one overall business. The second business that I have is Pretty Princess Spa Boutique, and we do spa parties. I would say that even though I really love Infinity, Pretty Princess is like my top and number one because I work with my family. So my daughters, they come, they help with the parties, they dress up as Elsa and Anna, or we had a troll party. My oldest was Poppy. My husband, he comes, he either take photography, he does the photography, or the last event he did face painting. My youngest daughter, Jordan, I call her the little CEO, our future CEO, because she already tried to call shots. She's really interested in Pretty Princess. She'll go into a store and like, we need that for the business. We need to be, so dad's like, I can't send you two in there alone because we're looking at stuff for the business. So, and then, they're working the business and also, it's been engraved in them too by working in it, and they don't have to be an entrepreneur, but, they know that that's an option. Mm-hmm. So with Pretty Princess, it's the parties we have online shops too.
Wow. And, what you're glossing over is your online businesses where you talked about passive income, but there's a lot of products that you produce yourself and that your family helps to produce that you're selling online.
Gosh, yes. We sell party supplies, we sell t-shirts, we sell so much. And the family definitely helps. My daughter is going to be a senior coming up this next school year, so she wants to earn money. So I'm like, okay, well, you can do this project, you can create this. So she has an avenue to earn money without going out where, we're all quarantined. She doesn't have the kind of risk her health to make money. Is in-house for her.
That's awesome. So now I think everybody can have a visual on what I was meaning when I said that Maria has a lot going on. A lot. So now, with all of that you're juggling, describe how running these businesses impact your marriage and your role as a wife. Talk about that.
I would say that right now it's a positive impact only because we communicate and it's a shared goal. So it's not anything that I just kind of popped up and like, this is what we're doing. It was always coming to my husband and having a conversation first before I do anything. And I became Zumba certified for a part of Pretty Princess. But before I did that, I went to him first and say, hey, what do you think about adding this on to Pretty Princess? So it was a conversation versus I just went and did it. I always wanted to make sure that we're on the same page, because if I go and start teaching classes every Wednesday, either he has to pick up something, or it has to be a common goal, a shared interest, and we're staying on the same page. Now, does that always happen? No. But for the most part, we communicate about things, and that helps.
That's awesome. It's a lot to balance in. And one of the things you
Yeah.
talked about earlier was the fact that he recognized what your gifts were and what your
Mhm.
talents and ability were. And he was okay offsetting it in his own way, whether it was working with the construction while you were
Mhm.
pursuing the entrepreneur. How did you guys come to that type of balance, or did it just kind of naturally happen?
I wish I could say that it was a discussion and we came to it. It kind
Mm-hmm.
of naturally happened. He is the type of husband that he sees where he can fill in. And when you're an entrepreneur and you're doing so many things, cleaning is probably not at the top of that priority. Or sometimes you'll be working so much that you'll forget, oh my gosh, it's 6 o'clock, it's dinner time. To
Mm-hmm.
where he kind of just picked up and he'll do the dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And he's even so amazing to the point where he'll make sure that I eat throughout the day. If he's home,
Mm-hmm.
he'll come and just bring me lunch or just come
Mm-hmm.
and well, here's dinner to make sure that I eat. Because as an entrepreneur, sometimes we'll just work and work and work and like it's 6 o'clock and did I eat at all today?
Mm-hmm.
So he helps with that.
That's awesome.
um yeah, so he likes a clean home and I can't always give it. So
Mm-hmm.
he'll step in and do it. And we even talked about sometimes like either getting a maid that
Mm-hmm.
would come in every once in a while, because the grind for me personally, until I get to that goal, I'm grinding a lot,
Mm-hmm.
like grinding a lot. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a conversation to where he knows what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think it's priceless for him to support you the way that he does, because in some relationships, there could be a little bit of envy, there could be jealousy,
Hmm.
there could be, I want to lead, right? And it's not
Hmm.
that you're leading him, but I want to
Hmm.
be the one to bring the ideas to the table, and so
Right.
it creates this conflict that
Hmm.
brings a different dynamic to the relationship. So
Hmm.
when you think about that, and you think about women who are like yourself that are, chasing a dream, driven that way, have the courage to do it, and they're facing situations where they may not have that type of support, what could they do to try to foster that?
I would say, like I said, first is the communication with your husband. And one thing we definitely learned from our pastor in Wisconsin, you don't know what you don't know. We would go and get counseling a lot. So, and in counseling, we learned to communicate. We learned how to deal with conflict when conflict arose. And even now, like we still go to counseling or, marriage retreats or anything like that to build that bond.
Mm-hmm.
And when that disagreement comes, you know how to handle a conflict versus a blow up, or which would then take you steps back versus forward.
That's great advice. It's so funny how it doesn't matter what the issue is. It seems like communication is always the main tool.
Mhm.
You got to
Mhm.
keep talking, you got to keep sharing. And a lot of times
Mhm.
we could get frustrated and want to shut down as opposed to really keep
Mhm.
pursuing that dialogue. And so that's excellent advice.
And I
Okay.
just wanted to point out one book that we read a lot is The Respect He Needs and the Love She Desires, I believe. Or I think it's vice versa, how that goes.
Mhm.
But in that book, he talks about how women talk in here with like pink ears and guys talk in here with blue ears. So
Mhm.
even if I say something, he might not necessarily really understand what he hears it, but he don't understand it. But if
Mhm.
I say the exact phrase to another woman, she'll completely get what I'm saying.
Mhm.
So you have to learn how to, deal with like, how do I get my point across, or make sure you walk away from a conversation with the same understanding. Because you
Mhm.
can say things and then walk away with two different understandings. And be like, but we just
Absolutely.
talked about this. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And learning when you can see it in his eyes if he's got it, or if he
Mhm.
just totally is
Mhm.
disconnected from what you're saying.
Mhm.
That makes a difference too. A lot of times when we're communicating, sorry, we don't pay attention to who we talking to. We just talk. And so
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
make sure that
Yeah.
communication, it was received on the other
Yes.
end, and to
Mhm.
the point of what you're saying, that they kind of understand what it is you're trying to say. It
Mhm.
reminds me of a conversation Chuck and I had recently, and he kept just saying, "You're not hearing me. You're not hearing me." And
Mhm.
finally, I had to get to the point where I was trying to articulate back to him, what I hear him saying. And we kept at it until, we were
Mm-hmm.
able to get to the
And
point where
sometimes
I
it's gonna take a
understood.
minute.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
where I
Mm-hmm.
understood
And that's
exactly.
something we learned in counseling. Okay, so what I hear you saying, like instead of coming to be combative, okay,
Mhm,
from my understanding, what you're saying is this, and he'll be like, no.
mhm,
Okay, so can you say it again? Like,
mhm.
you have to keep working at it, and that plays a huge part when you become an entrepreneur, because like that is, if you don't pay attention, you can just be so blinded by your goal, your focus, your business, that you'll miss out on all of that.
Yeah, that's great advice. So tell me something that people misunderstand about entrepreneurs. What assumptions do people have about entrepreneurs that they are just way off base?
I can tell you, in the beginning, my family definitely called me Tommy from marketing. Like they, and I mean, because they didn't understand. They saw me working at home, and they would call throughout the day and, hey, can you go run this errand for me? Because, but no, I am at home, but I'm working. Like, I
Mhm,
can't go be your errand person or go do this because you see me at home. Like, this, you're at an office working,
mhm,
I'm at my home working. So
mhm,
it's hard for some people to understand that.
mhm,
And also kids, now that
mhm,
I have my teenagers, they know that I work from home. I'll get phone calls throughout the day. Hey, mom, I forgot my gym shorts. Can you bring it to me?
mhm,
I'm sorry, no, I'm at
mhm,
work because I'm doing something. Like, I
mhm,
cannot, and you have to set your business hours. You have to set those boundaries. And I think that kind of helps with that.
mhm,
But definitely, that was the biggest one that I had to deal with for years.
mhm,
My family did not think I was doing anything
mhm,
until they saw some fruit,
mhm. Yeah.
you know.
What was that
So,
moment like when you recognize? Because when you grinding, you have a currency, right? It's
hmm
going, but it's different once the fruit comes, right? And you're
hmm
like,
hmm
oh, what was that like for
hmm
you?
I would say, I mean, we celebrate that. I celebrate that with my husband and my family.
Mhm,
It was more of a intimate thing. Like, I would like to be like kind of petty about it and rub it in my family's faces. Like, look, I told you I was working. So like, cause you work hard to get to where you really see that fruit. And now I would say that was exciting. But for me, the most exciting part is now when I hear like my mom say how proud she is of me, or I see a post that my sister was like, oh, my sister is like this, like she's so awesome because she's doing
mhm,
this. Like, that right there, the acknowledgement that y'all really see,
mhm,
and I don't have to go and throw it in your face, so I don't have to
mhm,
go and like rub it in or say anything about it. You see now. I really love those moments when I, like, they just kind of, what is it, words of affirmation, and that's a
mhm,
love language. That's my love language. Like,
mhm.
that is where I get my most excitement from.
That's awesome. All right. So, what are some of the pressures you face and how do you stay motivated? And then think about that question as it relates to your marriage second.
I would say the the biggest pressure is the balance of it all. And it sounds weird for me to say sometimes because I teach time management. I
Mhm,
have a course on time management. I have a workbook and a book on time management. But honestly, you can know something, but walking it out on a daily basis
mhm,
is just as difficult as someone who don't know it at all.
mhm,
So honestly, it's the balance of it all, and that's where therapy helps with, with being married, because sometimes I'll be off balance, and even though we have this common goal and we talk about it, he can feel, neglected, or I can feel neglected because he kind of can back off, like, let me give her space, but I still need that,
mhm,
so it's the finding the balance of it all is
mhm,
the biggest pressure.
mhm. So, what are some things like that you do to stay connected to make sure you're drawing yourself in?
With my husband,
Hmm.
I would definitely, well, this quarantine has definitely shifted gears.
Absolutely. I say
And
this thing makes you figure out what's really important.
yes, so we've actually now really been scheduling dates. and becoming creative. We had like a club Venzant in our living room where
Mhm.
we have a house party that plays just a speaker but also has like lights.
Mhm.
Where I made dinner. I went and got new outfits for us,
Mhm.
and we just dressed up and had dinner and moved to the living room and just danced
Mhm.
and made sure the kid like stay upstairs. Okay,
Mhm.
you know, he turned the garage into our club Venzant one time, and we were just discussing of going skating in our garage, or we had a paint night. So being creative and definitely like just planning dates. Like
Mhm.
dating, even though you're married, dating is super important. And I know we got away from
Mhm.
that for a while, and we're finding our way back now
Mhm.
and kind of like forced with quarantine. But
Mhm.
it's like super, like I enjoy it. I look forward to date nights. Like it's not routine, like maybe let's just sit down and watch a movie. It's
Mhm.
something that's actually planned.
Right. Yeah. Movie night is the easiest cop out because many of us fall
Yeah,
asleep.
yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah. And I know for me, I work from home with my prior position. And you're right, you get absorbed, right? In coming to the computer and pounding out what you need to do, you wake up
Mhm,
and you just stay there until
mhm,
you're just ready to walk away. And so
mhm.
one of the things that I had to do was just to cut it off, right? And
Yes,
just, I think the
yes.
one good thing is now, like where we used to live, I would literally sit in a chair and I would put my laptop in my lap and I would just work, and I would sit the
Mhm.
laptop right on the floor, right by my chair. So whenever I sat in it, I would grab it. But now that I have a defined office space,
Yes. Mhm.
I can get up and I can walk away from it and
Mhm.
allow myself to
Mhm.
focus in on other things. But I'm starting to find myself hit that grinding stage with some things that I'm working on. So
It's
I
the drive, it's the passion of it, it's the excitement of it. But
yeah,
you have to remember, okay, you're still a wife, you're still a mom, like they still
yeah,
need you. So
yeah.
my husband, he does a good job. He'll text me. He'll be like, well, what time are you getting off today? Because I could ask him, like at his construction site, what time will you be home? And he'll be like, well, same question to you. What time are you getting off? Because I'll get off at like 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm just
Mhm.
done. So yeah,
That's
that
awesome.
he checks in.
Yeah, that's good that he is mindful to do that,
Hmm.
because I know the other night when I finally came out, um, everybody was like in their rooms at that point. And so I went down, I don't know what time it was, and finally tried to get something to eat, to your point. And Chuck came down, he's like, oh, you came out, so
Yes, yes. I
oh,
was like,
you're
hello.
here, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so the tips that you're giving are very important, but at the same time, I don't think that we should walk away from our dreams. I don't think that we should give up on our desires and our
Right.
goals. And I think one of the things that I heard you say, that you didn't use these actual words, but there's an element of what you do that's fulfilling to you. That giving
Mhm.
back and that
Mhm.
helping others, it creates a sense of
Mhm.
fulfillment that makes a huge difference. And that
Mhm.
is almost
Because
like a
work doesn't feel like work, and I could do it forever.
yeah, it's almost like a carrot that just keeps dangling in front of you and
Mhm.
you just keep going after it.
Mhm.
So I appreciate you checking in with us. Anything that I didn't ask about marriage that you just feel like you want to share with us?
I just want to say, like, patience. And I say the biggest thing, honestly, that I've been promoting, even my two older daughters, therapy. I promote therapy. Like I said, we don't know, we don't know. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of us don't deal with things that had to deal with in the
Mm-hmm.
past, and those we react in certain ways because of that, and we don't know. So,
Mm-hmm.
I just honestly, I always talk to friends and family and therapy
Mm-hmm.
and communicating, learning how to communicate. I had a cousin who's dating and she wants to move in with her boyfriend. Therapy
Mm-hmm.
first. Make sure that you guys you learn how to communicate. Do you know how to argue because they have kids together?
Mhm.
Don't want to, move into a toxic situation, so
Mhm.
therapy, get couples therapy first.
Mhm.
So that's
That's,
the,
it's interesting because I do think at one point in time, and it could be generational, that there was such a stigma with therapy. But
mm-hmm,
now it's almost like a self care strategy is to
mm-hmm,
really help keep yourself healthy and strong in all aspects of who you are by
yes,
having those needed conversations when they're necessary with somebody who can really help. And so I
yes,
think that is wisdom. I would say
yes,
that's wisdom because a lot of
yes,
times, when you see people, they all broke out, things are
mm-hmm,
looking all wrong,
stress,
and it's stress. It's keeping stuff bottled up, you know,
mm-hmm,
and we're too pretty for that now, you
yes.
know.
Yes, we are.
But
You don't want to wear your stress on you.
you don't want to wear your stress. And so I think that that is wisdom to say therapy. And I think that your marriage can go the distance because of your willingness to do that and your husband's
Mm-hmm,
willingness to do it with you. That's awesome.
mm-hmm,
And it
mm-hmm.
sounds like something you're training your daughters up with as well. So that's
Yes.
very important. Awesome. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Maria. I appreciate you
Thank
taking out the
you.
time. And it's Friday for us on this recording. And so I
Yes.
challenge you to take the rest of the night off and enjoy some time with
Yes.
your family. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
so very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.